Welcome back to Gyasi Academy, where we motivate and inspire. Have you ever stopped to ponder the depth of the phrase, love yourself first? It's a phrase that we often hear, yet seldom unpack. It's more than a feel-good mantra. It's a profound principle that can shape the course of our lives. Today, we're diving deep into this concept, exploring the power of self-love and the transformative journey it can lead us on. Now, you might be wondering what sparked this exploration. Well, a little while ago, I found myself in the picturesque landscapes of Utah, stepping into a guided breathwork session. A bit of a departure from my usual routine, I admit. I was skeptical, questioning whether this could be anything more than just a trendy wellness fad. But, as I've always believed, growth happens outside our comfort zones. So, I shrugged off the skepticism and decided to keep an open mind. As I embarked on this journey, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. There were no grand expectations, no rigid preconceptions, just a sincere willingness to explore and learn. The instructor handed me a notebook and asked me to jot down my goal for the session. It felt like a small yet significant step, a commitment to myself, a promise to be open to whatever this experience had to offer. I scribbled down my intentions, my desires for personal growth, my hopes to break down the walls I'd built around myself. It was a poignant moment, the start of a journey that would prove to be one of the most meaningful experiences of my life. Yet, as I would soon discover, this journey was not about breaking down walls. It was about something much more profound. It was about understanding the power of self-love, about recognizing the strength that comes from embracing our vulnerabilities, our fears, our dreams, and our hopes. So let's journey together, back to the beginning, back to that breathwork session in Utah. Let me take you back to when this transformative journey began. Picture this. I arrive with a friend at the instructor Jen's location. It's a space that radiates tranquility, a sanctuary away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Jen, our guide for this journey, welcomes us with a warmth that immediately puts us at ease. She paints a picture of what the next hour will look like, a blend of rhythmic breathing, music, and introspection. In her hand, Jen holds a small notebook, its pages blank and inviting. She hands it to me, explaining that it's a tool for setting my intention for the session. It's a small but significant task, a way to focus my mind and heart on what I hope to achieve. The notebook feels heavier than it looks, the weight of my thoughts and expectations filling its empty pages. I take a deep breath, the crisp scent of the room filling my senses. Then, with pen in hand, I start to write. My goal? To break down the walls I've built around myself. The walls that over time have become my most significant obstacle. The walls that have stopped me from truly living life to the fullest. In that moment, I realized that these walls are a symbol of the normality we create and cling to. A normality that often prevents us from seeking growth, from pushing boundaries, from exploring the limitless possibilities of life. A normality that, if we're not careful, can lead us to settle for less than we deserve. And so, I write. With each word, each line, I feel a sense of release. It's as if the act of writing is slowly chipping away at the walls, creating cracks through which light can shine. It feels liberating, empowering even. I close the notebook, its pages now filled with my hopes and aspirations. I lay back on a soft, fuzzy blanket, feeling its warmth seep into my skin. The room goes quiet, and then the music starts. A soft melody that wraps around me like a comforting hug. Jen's voice guides us into the rhythm of breathwork. In, out, a dance of life and breath. And with that goal in mind, I laid back, the music turned on, and the breathwork journey began. The journey was nothing short of a surreal mix of dreaming and hallucinating. The breathwork session was an emotional roller coaster ride, a journey into the deepest corners of my soul. It felt like I was floating in a vast ocean of thoughts, each wave taking me deeper into my subconscious. Our guide, Jen, led us through a rhythmic breathing pattern, in and out, in and out. Her soothing voice became the anchor in this sea of emotions, guiding us through the stormy waters of our past and into the calm serenity of the present. As we journeyed deeper, she encouraged us to have a conversation with our younger selves. This was a powerful moment. Confronting the past is never easy, but in that moment, it felt necessary. It was time to face the walls I had built around myself. The walls that had once served as protection had become my prison. I realized how often I had rationalized my suffering, accepting it as a part of life. We weren't meant to suffer or hold on to suffering, Jen's words cut through the silence. It was a profound realization. How often do we hold on to pain, convincing ourselves that it's just the way things are. It's a subtle form of learned helplessness that hides in the corners of our lives, often going unnoticed. As I descended deeper into the depths of my subconscious, I had a vision. I was descending a ladder into a dark canyon. The world around me was devoid of color, except for faint rays of light at the bottom. With each step, the light grew stronger, infusing my world with vibrant colors. The descent turned into a slide, speeding me towards the bottom. Upon landing, I was greeted by an illuminated world. Fields of sunflowers, waterfalls, birds chirping, the sun shining. It was a stark contrast to the dark canyon I had descended from. As I descended into the depths of my subconscious, I began to see the world in a different light. The realization was profound. I had been focusing on the walls I had built around myself, but the real obstacle was the suffering I was holding on to. But in that moment, I knew it was time to let go. From the darkness, a glimmer of light began to shine. I found myself in my mind's eye, descending into a canyon. It was as if I was climbing down a ladder placed precariously on the edge of a vast, dark chasm. My entire landscape was devoid of color, like a black and white photograph, a stark contrast to the vibrancy of life I knew existed. Yet at the bottom, barely visible, were rays of light, hinting at the potential for something more. As I descended further, I noticed a peculiar thing. The colors began to seep into my grayscale world, slowly at first, then stronger and brighter. Each step down the ladder infused my surroundings with a little more vibrancy, a little more life. It was as if every move downwards was a step towards clarity, towards understanding, towards a life I hadn't yet fully embraced. The descent became quicker, the ladder transforming into a slide, hurtling me towards the bottom of the canyon. As I landed and stood up, I was greeted by an astonishing sight. Everything was illuminated. Fields of sunflowers stretched across the landscape, waterfalls cascaded down in the distance, birds chirped merrily, and the sun shone brightly overhead. My grayscale world had turned into a technicolor dream. This vivid journey wasn't just a daydream, it was a metaphor, a symbol of the walls I'd built around myself, the ones I'd written down in that little notebook at the beginning of the session. Yet in this moment of illumination, I had an epiphany. My initial intention, the goal I'd set at the start, had missed the mark. It wasn't that it was wrong or incorrect, it was simply not enough. I had aimed to reflect on the walls, the limitations I'd imposed on myself, but I realized that the goal was not to merely reflect but to dismantle, to break free. This moment, this aha moment, was a reminder that we are not meant to settle for grayscale when Technicolor is within our reach. In that moment, I realized that my intention for the class had missed the mark. So what was this aha moment all about? As I stood amidst the vibrancy of my own inner world, the answer came to me in the form of a profound realization. It was about the walls I'd erected around myself, not physical, but invisible barriers that had hindered my personal growth. The breathwork session didn't just help me identify these walls, but it also showed me the tools I needed to break them down. I realized that the only way to truly overcome these self-imposed limitations was through self-love and personal growth. It wasn't about seeking validation from others or trying to fit into the societal norms, but about embracing my individuality, my quirks, my strengths, and my flaws. It was about understanding that it was okay to make mistakes, to falter and to fall because each misstep was a stepping stone towards growth. The session taught me that self-love isn't merely about accepting oneself. It's about continuously striving to be better, to learn more, to push further. It's about acknowledging that there will always be room for improvement and being okay with it. Because in the end, perfection isn't the goal, growth is. And personal growth, I discovered, isn't just about achieving milestones or ticking off things from a bucket list. It's about embarking on a journey of self-discovery, of finding out who you really are and what you're truly capable of. It's about challenging your boundaries, stepping out of your comfort zone, and exploring the uncharted territories of your own potential. This journey, this transformation, was an affirmation of my ability to change, to evolve, and to grow. It was a testament to the power of self-love in fueling personal growth. It was a reminder that I was not defined by my past, my mistakes, or my failures, but by my ability to learn from them and to rise above them. The journey taught me that in the grand scheme of things, we owe it to ourselves to prioritize self-love and personal growth. And remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being a little better than you were yesterday.